there are concerns.
Okay. You know, I think from what Mrs. Hammond said earlier, we have been discussing. We have just not been organized. So there's a lot of discussion already. Many of these views are already distilled and known. It's to aggregate them. And the issue of organization and transparency and coming from the grassroots. And one thing she said, which is very crucial, is that let the representatives revalidate their opinion from those who send them.
Yes.
So that you don't go there and continue to speak for yourself.
Yes.
Or your vested interest or your bought interest. They go and buy you. And so you are truly representative because you are locked down to your roots. And I can sleep knowing that what you are saying is what we agree that you should say. And you know, for me, I think the time is very short. But the essence of what can be done is not the information we need is there. The way we want to live, we already know. It is to voice it out. And like they say at the wedding, if there's anybody here who knows a reason why these two people should be joined together, they should speak now or forever hold their peace. So let everybody speak. While we are discussing, you can still be speaking. The press will carry it. So even if you don't become a representative there, speak. This is not what we told the man to say. He's now on his own. That's the dialogue, and it becomes a national dialogue. That's even our representatives. I have an idea really that I've toyed around with. Could they be part of the representation? In the essence that we don't now have to revert to them when they sit at the discussion. So that since you participated there, and there was voting and agreement there, and this is agreed, then it's already valid. So the issue of sovereignty of our discussion can be solved with one stone. You know, that look, you are there, you've represented, come. But in addition to you, let other people come. Core tribe, core religion, core labor, and all of that. Let's all sit down together. And that final thing that comes becomes a document that is sacrosanct. And I think that's the way out of the logjam of, do we have to go to National Assembly again? And they have to now politic and decide, no, it's only a woman with a lot of money gets them on the side and we're thrown back to. So I think we should consider making them the first member of this discussion.
There's quite a number of them. There's nearly 500 altogether.
No, we can distill it in the sense that a senator has come from a particular area. Maybe a senator, and then joins with, instead of 3, is it 3 reps or 5 from each one?
It's 3 senators and then 1 from each of the local governments.
And we can just find a way to distill. In their numbers, totality of it, I don't think they're up to 400.
About 500.
About 500.
About 500, yeah. I think it's a first group to start. And you join them with other people that represent religion and all these things we've been talking about. And then the legitimacy...
They do not represent the ethnic nationalities of Nigeria. Because you could have a senatorial district, for instance, in which you have more than one ethnic nationality. So who speaks?
I think that's what the House of Reps. No, that's what the House of Representation, thing.
I think it's a very good idea particularly in terms of addressing the legitimacy. And I think even if we have 1,000 people, 1,200 people to represent the view of 160 million, I think it's not too much of a number.
Here's another fair. Elections are coming up in March 2015, and this conference needs to have been dealt with, to have held, and the outcomes influence the type of government the people we vote in 2015 are. Where's the time going to come from? Is it plausible to have a conference before the next election?
I think it's possible. You already have the Arewa Forum. They've been talking. They actually held their own mini national dialogue or regional dialogue. You have the Afenifere, the Yoruba group. They already had theirs. You had the Southwest or Southeast, Clark and Co. They had theirs. So the idea, the representation, I think to a large extent are already shaping up. So what is happening right now is, now you have a government saying, set, go. If the political will is there, I think it can happen in 6 months. If you have the political will, because the issues are known, the only time waster or potentially they might lose time is, okay, how do we select these people? And based on what we've discussed, it's possible, because if you want to ask a discussion of the Yorubas today, and Afenifere puts out an advert in the papers and say, meet us at City Hall, the place will be filled with people who are interested. But the challenge, which is my greatest fear of the Sovereign Conference, is that people with good intention usually don't rise up for things like this. They doubt it, they don't believe in it, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. What they say will happen then happens, because they've left it to the touts and the opportunists and the people who had the time, and that's been the story of this country. And
you see, you've mentioned the Yorubas, but the Yoruba are not an ethnic nation. They are a group of different ethnic nationalities. How do you get the Ifes or the Modakekes, if you like, or the Egbas to have their own discussion? But we're going to come back to that in a moment. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a moment. Viewers, stay tuned to the Heart of the Matter. This is important. Welcome back to the Heart of the Matter, where we're continuing our discussion on the national dialogue. Just before we went on the break, we're talking about how do we get the representation. And there were a couple of points that were made. Nigerians need to show interest. Would you like to take us up on that? How does the man who is Mr. Average get involved in this process?
Yeah, I think that is what actually, that's the soul of the national dialogue. Achebe, in one of his books, The Trouble with Nigeria, said, the vile among us are always the ones that have the energy to go forward, whilst the good ones stand aside and look. So I think first get involved by saying, I want to be part of my own future. Like a mother giving birth to a child, I want to be part of a safe delivery, not an observer. Can you nominate yourself? Do you think you have the credentials, the idea? Put yourself forward. 2, you see a candidate parading himself saying he's interested, and you know things about them that are not true, the character, integrity, stand up and say so. Get interested in the discussion that's going on there. And I think just putting everybody on their toes, that 160 million Nigerians are watching you, that's enough to make something good come out of this. And the people who say, don't believe this, it's a scam, it's not going to work, I tell you, they already have their list of candidates ready. And all they want to do is reduce the opposition and have a free way.
Anybody else?
Yes, for me, I think that even the time available for this discussion, it's much more than we even need for the discussion. Why? The opinions are distilled already, for me. I think the Yoruba nation, they know what they want out of Nigeria. The Ijaw nation knows. The Southeast knows. But the problem is this: there's something at the center that's forced ideas and opinions down everybody's throat. The important thing is to be able to go out there for the first time and speak out your mind with truth. Say it frankly. Tell him, this is what I want from you. If we're going to live together, this is how I want to live with you, and all of that. For me, that discussion is not going to take us a long time to bring it out. The problem will be how the negotiations will take place. How do we now bridge all these divides? How do we come to an agreement about now? And that will be a matter of give and take. That will take a process of time. If I give this to you, what do I get in return? And by the time you've done that, then you've set up a kind of code of conduct, of relationship. And this is where the nation is, for the first time, built. And this will take us forward. And look, remember what you said. This is the code of conduct. I've given you this. You ought to give me this. And Nigeria will forever fly from that. But don't let anybody sit back. And I think I like what Mrs. Amos said again. I go back to it. The discussion is not more about representation, but more about the views that comes from the representation. If you can't be there, make sure your view is being spoken. And you can do that at your grassroots level, where you make your opinion known. Town hall, go there and say it. And there'll be aggregates of those opinions that will distill into some opinions that will go. Just to make sure that what we said to him is what he's saying. And that can be done, and that makes us all participatory. So all of us can discuss this if nobody's sitting back. Let everybody's opinion be crucial. And for me, it's the last opportunity Nigeria has to give back to a nation. If we don't do it, this young generation of people, the world is moving so fast, they are not as patient as our generation has been. And I don't think they'll be able to tolerate this chaos that is called Nigeria.
Mr. Simon, you said transparency is a key to a successful conference. So how do we ensure, because we hardly do anything that's transparent in our environment. Even our elections have always been contested. How can we ensure that this will be transparent?
For me, if we're going to do this as a nation, this is the opportunity for each and every one of us now to step up to be leaders. I'm one of those who's always believed the problem of Nigeria is not the leadership at the top. It's the fact that all of us fail to be leaders in our own individual ways, and that's why, we fall victim to some of the things. It's either we don't step up or we sell out, and as a result, we get what we get. In this process, it has to be all hands on deck, and it has to be everyone remembering this is about Nigeria and not about me. There's so many I think there's, at the last count, there's probably 10,000 NGOs in Nigeria. There's civil organizations, there's technology. We need to take control of the process right from the very beginning. Because when you have that and we document and we keep, I know we're not known for being very diligent and I think we're diligent as a nation, but not very detailed. But we need to do that this time.
So how does the man who's watching this program bring out the leader in him?
Well,
he's going to tell you that who's going to listen to me?
Well, he starts, and I think it's the role of some of us to make that happen. For example, I know we have an outreach in Obalende, part of which what we do is media and awareness. It's going to them and even capturing their views. It's so easy. You can have a section on national television running right from today, not even waiting until that process starts, where you capture the average man on the street's views. You can have websites where they know they can go and see. By the time every Nigerian starts to have their own 2 minutes in Nigeria to speak and everyone can see that, then they know that, okay, my views do count. And that's where we need to get to, where every single person in Nigeria is important.
Any other views on that?
I think she nailed it. Leadership must start from me, the man in the mirror, and also the people are the leadership of the committee. I mean, what the advisory committee has done, I think, is quite commendable. They went around the country, submitted, I hear, about 4,000-page document. I think that's a good start. That rigor, you can't run away from that rigor to get transparency. So the quality of the leadership handed the role to organize this is key. And how they communicate the process. This is what we're going to do. This is what we have done. Any comment, feedback. I think that whole process is, because like we say, the fish rots from the head. Mm-hmm. If the people are willing, are ready to go, and you hand them over to a bunch of people who already have a destination different from the mandate, they will truncate the whole thing. So the integrity of the committee with this mandate is extremely crucial. And as they're being nominated, we need to shout, yes, this man is okay. This man, we have concerns with him.
I think one thing we need to put on top of this is that because of the media revolution that we have, the discussions at the town hall meetings should be in the media by now. Everything that was said in all those areas the committees were in, the report of the committee should be out in the open by now. Yes. And government's final white paper on it should be out in the open. That's the transparency. So we want to cross-check. Is this what I said that was recorded? Indeed. Is this the aggregate of the views they got at the discussion here? And that process is already the process that makes you believe it. Yes. That look, wow, no, there's no hiding of anything in this place. Everybody is making it open. And I think government is falling back on that. The committee's report should not be a privilege of the presidency. It's been submitted to him to act, but it should be in the open for us to gaze at and see. His final white paper, when it comes, we want to look at it vis-a-vis what the committee gave him and be able to say this. And once all these things build confidences in us, I mean, our discussion is already on the way to success.
Now, if we had an hour, we would still be talking. But we do have to round up now. And correct me if I'm wrong. In summary, we've agreed that not all of us agree on the need for national conference, but whether we agree or not, we agree that we should all participate in it since it is going to happen. Okay, that's the first thing. Then we've also agreed that we need to talk about our identity as a people. We need to talk about the way we run our governments. We need to talk about the way we divide resources. We need to talk about issues like state police or religion, so many religion. All of these are issues that need to be talked about, and that what we need to have is representation by the people that make up Nigeria, the different ethnic nationalities, the professions, the religions, and so on. Does that capture it?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So viewers, what we're saying is that this is not a national dialogue for politicians or for a few elite. It is a national dialogue for all Nigerians, so all Nigerians must be involved. And on the heart of the matter, we will keep on talking about the national dialogue from time to time. I hope you've enjoyed this. We're really grateful that you spared time to be with us to present this program, and I'm sure we'll come back to you at some point or the other on this question of national dialogue. We'll be back again next week with another episode of The Heart of the Matter. Until then, stay blessed.